Let's watch video on this jealous girl.
Hello, Jessica. We're from Australian TV.
Hi.
How's the trial going?
Yeah, I think it's been going okay, but I can't really say anything right now.
I understand.
Why is she
Do you
smiling,
know who
man?
murdered? Do you have any ideas about who
No,
murdered?
Do they have no?
This is the face of Jessica Wongso. She's seen here after the first day in one of Indonesia's most gripping trials, where she was accused of killing her friend with poisoned coffee. And you won't believe how she went about it. She was so confident that she would be cleared that she had already packed her bags to go home. But as the guilty verdict was announced, this killer realized all the money in the world can't keep you out of prison. This case will make you question everything you know about your friends, as we take a look at the jealous girl that killed her Indonesian classmate.
Not every friend
with
is like
poisoned
that.
Coffee. As Mirna Salihin was wheeled into the emergency on January 6, 2016, she was already dead.
Oh, then it was
Doctors and
7
nurses
years
tried
ago.
desperately to save her, but there was nothing that could help this once bright young woman. Her last movements were when she met up with her friend, Jessica Wongso, who very quickly came under suspicion by members of Mirna's family. Minutes after meeting Jessica at a coffee shop in Jakarta, Indonesia, Mirna started having a seizure that proved to be fatal. When the cup she drank from was given to police, they discovered it contained a lethal dose of cyanide. The police were so concerned by this that they asked the family
So
permission
CC
to carry out
camera
an autopsy, but
caught her.
shockingly, the family refused. Why would anyone refuse an autopsy? In the case of Mirna's family, the answer was simple. Their religion won't allow it. Indonesia is primarily a Muslim country, so autopsies were not usually performed on those who had died. But in this case, the police were able to ask the family, as it was part of a criminal investigation.
Yeah, you need to
For
do that.
3 days,
I respect
investigators
religion, but
tried to persuade Mirna's family
again,
that the post-mortem would be done with total respect to her and would only involve taking some samples. And finally, on January 9th, 2016, the family agreed.
If what the police say is correct, she went into that cafe that day and organised that meeting for the purpose of murdering your sister.
When the results came in, they found evidence of a corrosive agent in Mirna's stomach. And worse than that, they found traces of cyanide. But this left the police with a problem. Shortly after Mirna passed away, samples were taken for a toxicology report. Those findings painted an entirely different picture together, as they found no traces of cyanide, even though her seizure and subsequent death were eerily similar to having just ingested a large dose of the poison. Although the whole event was caught on security camera, it appears Jessica was covering up what she was doing.
She's accused of spiking Myrna's iced coffee with cyanide and then calmly watching her beautiful friend take her last gasps of breath.
With the very cup Mirna
Is
drank
the
from being the number
beautiful
one piece of
one
evidence,
was dead or
police
what?
now needed to find more to bring this investigation to a close. As the day of the funeral came, Mirna's family accused Jessica of poisoning their daughter, and Jessica stormed out of the service.
I would like to see justice for my sister, and eye for an eye, life for a life.
The family claimed that Jessica had been acting unusual the whole time, and it wasn't just the police or the family that wanted answers, as the case had caught the attention of the media and would soon catch the attention of the world.
Still, till this day, we can't believe she's gone just so quickly, just like that. How do you say this?
Cruel.
Yeah, it's cruel.
The murder
Very
divided
cruel.
Indonesia, with the upper class believing Jessica Wongso innocent with lack of evidence, and even worse, she was being framed for a murder she had no part in. The lower class believed Jessica was trying to get away with murder and saw her as rich, spoiled, and self-entitled, thinking she could use her family status to get out of prison time.
Okay. The
Indonesia, with the upper class believing Jessica Wongso innocent with lack.
So how did they did survey and deciding that the upper class think that and lower class think that? I do not know.
Of evidence, and even worse, she was being framed for a murder she had no part in. The lower class believed Jessica was trying to get away with murder and saw her as rich, spoiled, and self-entitled, thinking she could use her family status to get her out of prison time. but one burning question on everybody's lips.
Okay.
What did Myrna do that made Jessica so mad that she decided the only solution was murder? It seems difficult to believe that two people, once so close, could have drifted so far apart. Jessica was born into a wealthy life in Jakarta, Indonesia in 1998.
Okay, I do not like these kinds
The
of
youngest
sections
child
where
of
you go to
Lenardi
back
and
history
Imelda
and
Wongso,
everything.
her in poverty.
I do not like
Her
these
father
things.
was so well known, he became known as the Plastic King. His business was distributing plastic. Marty and Imelda moved that she joined the family in Sydney and pursued her passion, graphic design. It was while studying at Billy Blue College of Design that Jessica, popular with other students, met another wealthy rich kid from Jakarta, and one who she would become extremely close to, Myrna Salihin. The two loved their life in Australia. They were social, they were popular, they had all the money they could want, and they loved to party. But as school came to an end, Myrna would decide to leave Australia to live with her boyfriend, Arif, leaving Jessica behind. Jessica became a citizen of Australia, while Myrna returned to Jakarta. They did see each other again in 2015, when Myrna returned to Australia, only this time, Myrna was a bride-to-be, after finally getting engaged to Arif 8 years into their relationship. The friendship that had endured all through school will begin to break down from here, especially after Jessica made a shocking suggestion to Myrna that set her on the path to betray and murder.
I think she's jealous of Myrna because maybe Myrna have a good life.
She's married a lovely
She's married.
man.
She just married. She have a good future ahead of her.
June, and the Australian
Why
summer is
people...
well.
I can see jealousy being an issue, but killing your friend, man, that's pathetic.
In flow. Myrna has been visiting old friends,
That's very
including
pathetic.
Jessica. They met over dinner, but instead of a night of fond memories and laughter, the evening will soon turn very sour. The feud started when Jessica told Myrna she should dump her fiancé. She felt he was no good for Myrna, although her real motives may never be known. Myrna did not take this well, and in turn, she criticized Jessica's relationship with her boyfriend, Patrick O'Connor.
Myrna is very upfront. Sometimes it can be a bit harsh. I think it went like this. Why are you so stupid? Why do you want to date this guy? What about your future?
What did Myrna see as a problem? Patrick was into drugs, and she felt he would be a bad influence on her friend. In the middle of the meal, Jessica simply got up and walked away. She had been acting strange since Myrna spoke about Patrick, and it appeared her words hurt Jessica more than she could possibly imagine. It's reported that she became very uncomfortable
She
with
started the issue of talking about boyfriends, and when she actually points out the issue, and then she's getting jealous. Jealous. Irritated.
Jessica and would only see her again if a friend agreed to go with her. In the end, she didn't even invite Jessica to the wedding in November of 2015, a scorn that may have been the final straw, as Myrna had invited other friends from Australia. Her dream wedding with her dream groom left Myrna with a life she could have only ever desired.
I think she's the most wonderful person I have ever met because she has an amazing outlook in life.
By contrast, her friend's life was going in a very different direction. It might just explain her unusual behavior the last time the two met over dinner. Her life was heading down the drain, and she wasn't going alone. January 26th,
Man, pathetic people bring... I do not like these kinds of people.
2015, Australia Day, a day full of celebrations and joy. Police received a call about a woman threatening to kill herself. That woman was Jessica Wongso, and her boyfriend Patrick made the call. But things would only get worse. Just a couple of months after seeing Myrna around August 2015, she would make the headlines for the first time as she crashed her car into a nursing home. Cameras caught her being attended to by paramedics, lucky to survive such a devastating accident. She may have escaped with her life, but she was going to pay a price as she had been caught drunk driving and would face charges. Things were not getting better anytime soon. 2 months later, Patrick once again
She
called
already had
emergency
charges before that, okay?
services. This time, Jessica had set up a barbecue in her bedroom and tried to take her life by way of carbon monoxide poisoning. And only
So she tried to kill herself before she killed her friend.
2 weeks later, she was found next to an empty bottle of whiskey and a handful of suicide notes. and one of them even contained a shocking accusation, and it blamed Patrick for her death. By November, Patrick was seeking a restraining order. One he was granted, and this would start a series of events that would leave Jessica on the brink and capable of anything. She was fired from her job and was facing a drunk driving charge, and her behavior had become so disturbing that her boyfriend had taken legal action to stop seeing her. It might never be known whether Jessica left Australia to return to Indonesia to start a new life, or whether she went home to carry out her sinister poisoning plot.
Okay, so she went there after her, let's say, breakup, and we do not know that whether she went home to kill her friend, poison her friend, or just to be there. That's sad, man, that's sad.
Maybe it was both, but soon she was home and keen to socialize. Jessica sent out messages to her old college friends living in Jakarta, asking to meet up with her. Allegedly, it took some persuading for Myrna to even show up, but on December 12th, 2015...
I have to be a little cynical here, which might not be a case, might not have anything to do with this, but I do not know why. I find her friend is more beautiful than Jessica. I do not know whether it's facial features or just the cynical look on Jessica's face that make her unattractive, or because I know on hindsight that she is the killer, she is the betrayer of a friend. That is the reason why she might be not attractive to me, but I do not know. You guys can tell I might be biased or whatever.
She took her now husband, Arif, and went to meet Jessica for dinner. Although not as disastrous as their last dinner, it's believed Jessica remarked she had heard nothing about the couple's wedding, possibly causing some uncomfortable moments. Jessica had not yet gathered all her college friends together around the same table, so she contacted the group, suggesting coffee and offering to book the table herself. The place was Olivier, a high-end cafe where many socialites like to hang out. Myrna's fate was sealed in one simple message in that WhatsApp group when she commented on the cafe of choice. I love their Vietnamese iced coffee, a confession that would seal her fate and give Jessica exactly what she needed to follow through with her plan. On January 6, 2016, the old college friends would all meet for a date with death.
Oh.
Jessica arrived at the cafe around 3:30 p.m., which was unusual as the friends had agreed to meet at 5 p.m. She looked around the cafe and then left. Returning around 45 minutes later, she appeared to be carrying 3 gift bags, one for each friend. And so begins the very unusual, even suspicious behavior of Jessica, as she glances at the security cameras, then appears to block the view of the table with the gift bags. She orders drinks, not unusual in itself, but she did order them over 30 minutes before the others were due, almost as if she needed the drinks on the table with plenty of time to prepare. When the drinks arrived, she moved positions again and began tampering with the coffee in some way.
Action.
You can't make out exactly what. Is she adding sugar? Is she stirring the coffee? The Vietnamese iced coffee itself is usually drunk as it is, so it makes even less sense to see her doing something to the drink and being so determined to keep her mood.
Oh, if she had planned that much, thinking about the CCTVs and all that, if she had put her effort in correcting her life, she wouldn't have poisoned her friend and possibly improved her life. All she's doing is pathetic, man.
Movements out of view. By the time the others arrived, the drink has been sitting for 45 minutes. Regardless, Jessica pointed out Myrna's drink, and in one sip, she became the victim of a poisoning plot.
One sip.
Did not survive that day. Myrna knew the drink wasn't right. She tried to get Jessica to try it, but she refused. Then the cyanide hit. Myrna convulsed and began foaming from her mouth, and then she just dropped down. Staff rushed over to the scene and attempted to help Myrna. The friends all tried to get through to her except one. Jessica just sat there calm and collected, watching her friend die. But what Jessica did next drew immediate suspicion.
She said to the manager, "What did you put on the coffee? What did you put on the coffee that made her like this?"
An unusual
Okay. That stupid person.
response after the event she had just witnessed. This bothered the manager, and he handed the cup to the police. Despite there being no evidence of Jessica ever buying cyanide, the attention was not going away. And without the answers to their questions, rumor and gossip around the case soon gripped the nation. WhatsApp messages between the two in which Jessica expressed the desire to kiss Myrna were taken as an indication she had feelings for her friend and may have become jealous of her marriage. That would certainly explain why she suggested Myrna leave Arif.
If any female is watching this, is marriage that much a big deal that you're going to kill your friends? I'm not saying that people will kill friends just because they are jealous of another one's friend's happy married life, but I'm just saying that I haven't heard such case where a man has poisoned or killed his friend because his friend has a happy married life. I think I might be what I'm talking. It might be completely stupid.
Even a love triangle was suggested, with Arif being an ex-boyfriend of Jessica after an alleged conversation Jessica had with a coworker. Not all the speculation was aimed at Jessica. A story emerged that claimed Arif may have been the one responsible. Someone had claimed that they had seen Arif talking to a barista and they were discussing poisoning a coffee. His motive? He would cash in on a huge life insurance. For many, that would be reason enough. The claim was never proven and shows just how out of hand the situation became as the public fed on the story.
This is what happens when a case emerges and bunch of blames are thrown around here and there. The speculations are wild, man.
Story and all its twists and turns, fueled by a willing media. But when police investigated Jessica's past in Australia, they found some startling information that blew this case wide open. Christy Carter was Jessica's ex-boss from the job she was fired from. Police had been told that she had quit, and so they decided to question Kirsty about the suspect in question. Jessica was described as having two personalities, going from nice to threatening in a heartbeat. Kirsty claimed that after the nursing home car crash, Jessica showed no emotion at almost killing someone after
Oh, she had that psychopathic tendencies before. I can see that. You have to spot these kinds of people in real life too. I do not know. I think there are instances where you can but guess there's a vibe, I guess. And sometimes, not many times, you have to trust your guts, man. Just to be safe. I'm not telling that just because someone gives that kind of vibe is a bad person, but just to be safe, you have to trust your gut.
Driving while drunk, and that she had made several threats towards her boss not long before she was fired. Deciding they had their suspect, they arrested Jessica first thing in the morning on January 30th. She not only denied any wrongdoing, she specifically denied poisoning her friend, and she was taken away.
Oh, she's smiling.
And calm nature was a cause for concern,
Why
so a
is she
psychological
smiling?
evaluation was ordered.
It's like she had won a World Cup or something. She have achieved the goal of killing a friend. I think that is the reason why she's smiling. She achieved her intentions.
In the hopes that the results would help the case against her. The results were concerning. The report claimed she had an amorous, narcissistic personality underneath her supposedly innocent, calm nature.
I can see
Another stated she may have been attracted to Myrna, and her jealousy was enough to commit murder. But there was no evidence to support that claim. It was over a month before investigators handed the
She
case
was
over
attracted?
to Myrna, and her jealousy to calm
What?
nature. Another stated she may have been attracted to Myrna.
She may have been attracted to Myrna. In a lesbian way or what? Well, I don't
and her
understand
jealousy was
the
enough
word
to
here.
commit murder. But there was no evidence to support that claim. It was over a month before investigators handed the case over to the prosecutors, but with only circumstantial evidence, this case was going nowhere. It was only when the Indonesian investigators made contact with the Australian authorities and struck a deal that this case would finally go to trial. If Indonesia would drop the death penalty with a guilty verdict, then Australia would give them all the information they wanted on Jessica Wongso. The agreement was made and the date was set. In the background, a media storm was brewing, and the whole country was watching.
This is Indonesia's trial of the century. They're a nation obsessed. I count 25 to 30 cameras in this courtroom alone, covering the trial live 12 to 15 hours a day.
The prosecution had their case set, and they had only one chance to convince the court that they had their murderer. They had plenty of witnesses, including the cafe staff who commented on the unusual behavior of the accused, the fact she ordered the drinks so far in
There is no... I get it, there is no evidences in these cases, but... why it's so complicated, man?
advance, and, of course, the coffee cup with the traces of cyanide. Myrna's heartbroken husband testified on how Myrna became weary of Jessica, and her father spoke of how she acted very strangely at the hospital, showing no emotion or trauma. One of her friends dropped a disturbing revelation during their testimony. She claimed, as Myrna lay dying, she heard Jessica say quietly to herself, "I'm sorry." Security footage was scrutinized, and the prosecution also had Jessica's Australian history, including a shocking 13 police reports, something the court would not expect from a socialite of such a wealthy background. But the final blow came when details of the restraining order was given, and the court...
Like, I know there's this saying money cannot buy happiness, and I know I do not agree with that. Money can buy shit ton of happiness, but here are the cases. You can see that money cannot buy happiness.
courtroom learned just how volatile Jessica can be.
Can you explain the cyanide in the drink? Do you
No,
think...
I have no idea.
Did
You're
you-
smiling, man. Your friend is dead.
But the team behind the defense were the best.
Let's say even if she's innocent, let's say she hasn't done that. That seems very diabolic. That's sympathetic. Your friend has just died and you're smiling a lot. Even if you're innocent, that seems very ridiculous.
By, and with no irrefutable evidence she was guilty, all they had to do was point out all the flaws to get their client off the hook. With no cyanide found in the victim's system almost immediately after death, and the traces that were later found having happened after death, forensic pathologists argued that she couldn't have died from cyanide ingestion. Other forensic experts backed this claim up and stated only a full autopsy would reveal the truth, an autopsy they knew the family would not allow. There was also the lack of evidence that Jessica had ever purchased cyanide anywhere, and as it's difficult to buy, she would surely have left some kind of paper trail for investigators to discover. Finally, after a long trial, the court was ready to hear the testimony of the accused for themselves, as Jessica Wongso was ready to tell her side of the story. Never has a nation been so on the edge of their seats as when she took the stand, as if the whole country held their breath at once. She did not come across favorably. Smiling, calm, her entire attitude on the stand left many feeling unnerved.
That's what I'm saying. Even if she's innocent, her smile makes me cringe, man.
Erupted with joy as the guilty verdict was read out on October 5th, 2016. Sticking to their promise not to give the death penalty, she was sentenced to 20 years behind bars. And let me tell you, Indonesian prisons were not known for the luxuries that this rich kid was used to. Jessica has always denied the murder of her friend and was found guilty on the evidence at hand without any solid proof. But with enough to send this premeditated killer down for a long time, the verdict was generally accepted as the right one.
Hukum di Indonesia harus ditegakkan. Jadi keadilan harus ditegakkan, tapi keputusan ditegakkan oleh kebenaran dan keputusan hakim adalah yang seadil-adilnya. Dan kami keluarga.
People fall out all the time. It's a part of friendship and life. Sometimes it's jealousy.
I do not. The whole video doesn't prove jealousy, don't disprove jealousy, but we might never know what the real reason is. But killing a friend, man. Let them have a happy life. We all go through some shit. Not everyone is happy. Even if your friend seems happy, they're not fully happy. All you gotta do is pick your shit up, move on in life.
Or friends just
That's
drifting
very
apart,
sad.
and sometimes you just get a gut feeling that something isn't right about a person and want to keep your distance. But you
I said the same thing earlier, like trusting your guts and feeling the vibe. Although it might sound stupid, but
never expect
it'll work most of the time.
that friend to commit the most evil act one human can do to another. Cold-blooded murder. Let me know what you think of the case in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe as you can keep track of the world's most deprived killers.
That's a good video. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Euphobia.